Quick question. How many places do you have to look to figure out if you're free for a specific meeting or appointment? Now, if the answer is more than one, we need to talk because that right there, that is going to create an ongoing problem. So let's set the stage. Maybe you work somewhere today that requires you to use their calendar system, right? Whether it's Outlook or Google Workspace, it's irrelevant. The company provides you with their calendaring system, and they have a requirement that calendars need to be visible across the organization so that people can look for availability to schedule meetings, right? Chances are, if you are working in any kind of a corporate setting, you are currently experiencing something similar to that. And managing it, if not done the right way on how it integrates with your personal life, can start to lead to the possibility of getting double booked, overwhelmed, etc. Because here's what usually happens. You realize that you need to make your schedule available for your coworkers and company. That could be the company policy. But you also don't want everyone at work knowing about the lunchtime kids orthodontist appointment or a therapy session or that you are leaving early for a family obligation or whatever. So here's what most people will then do. They have their company calendar and then they go create a personal Google Calendar. I'll just use Google as an example here, but maybe you're using iCal or something else. And you create a separate digital calendar for personal. And you're putting all those personal appointments there, and then you spend your entire life toggling between multiple calendars, constantly cross checking to make sure that you're not getting double booked. And the mental load of doing that is exhausting. Not to mention, there's a ton of room for error. So, I want to walk you through a couple of solutions to this problem of needing work centralized somewhere that has visibility, but needing to have personal stuff kept private, but needing the two integrated so that you're not getting double booked or not having enough time to make it to that appointment and back, etc. What you actually need is one central, what I call command center, that tells you what you're doing and when you're doing it for both work and personal life. One place, not multiple calendars. This concept of centralization is so important in everything that I teach. It's actually one of the 9 components in the complete TOP framework. TOP stands for time management, organization, and productivity. All right, and centralization applies to a lot of different things, but here today we're talking about a calendar. Because when you're calendaring, when your appointments, when the things telling you what you need to be doing and when you're doing it are scattered across multiple places, you're going to make your brain work way harder than it needs to. So let's walk through a couple of different options here. So, option number one is this: you can keep your personal stuff solely on a paper planner, meaning you have all of your work commitments there on your, let's just say Outlook or your company calendar. And then as personal stuff comes in, you are putting them into your paper planner. And then you are going back into your work calendar and you are blocking the time on your work calendar, but you don't have to tell everybody, hey, I'm going to a dentist appointment. There are ways with every calendaring tool where you can just block time and mark it as busy, but people can't see what it is. So if you want to have everything centralized on paper, it's going to require you to then go do some of that strategic blocking on your work calendar so that you don't get booked for that lunch and learn on the day that you are going over to your dentist appointment, right? And taking the 30 seconds to actually block that off. Again, it's negligent how much time you're using. So if you want to be on a paper planner, right, for all of your personal stuff, you are going to need to remember to go block off time, but you only have to do it when it's during normal business hours, right? So you could have your entire personal life on a paper planner for times before work, for after work, the weekends, all of that. You don't need to write all your work stuff there. And then when you're at work, you're operating from your work calendar. Okay. And that is a solution I see a lot of women, especially women that love paper planners, use. Paper planners for personal, and then they're only blocking appointments on their work calendar if it's interrupting normal business hours. Now, I want to give you a different option if you want to be fully digital. Okay, so maybe you're like, Megan, I don't want a paper planner. I want to be 100% digital. And so people will ask me, should I just use my work calendar for everything and do that strategy of marking things as private so that people are busy, so that people can't see what I'm doing on my work calendar? I actually don't recommend that. And here's why. If you are loading all of your personal stuff into your company owned calendar, think about what happens if the company goes bankrupt tomorrow. You get laid off tomorrow. You decide that you want to change jobs and now you've got all this, future data sitting in this calendar. It will be gone. So I never recommend putting all of your personal stuff into your company owned calendar and having that be your one and only command center. Instead, here's what I do recommend. Go create a Google Calendar or an iCal. Again, pick your tool of choice with an email address that is your personal email address. And I'll just use Google moving forward for this example. So you go create a Gmail account and for personal use, and now you have a Google email account. And that is the calendar instead of paper that you are going to put all of your personal stuff into the appointments, the meetings, the anything and everything that would have been on that paper planner you put in there. Now, here is a very simple way to sync up the two if there is something that is happening during work hours that you need to protect. Instead of going into your work calendar and creating an appointment and blocking the time from your personal calendar, again, let's say you're having a lunchtime dental cleaning, all right? You put that in on your personal calendar, and then you can invite your work email address to the event. So then when you're looking at your work calendar, let's say your Outlook calendar or whatever it is, you'll get that meeting invite, you can accept it, and now that time is going to be blocked on your work calendar for you. So again, you're still maintaining privacy, but more importantly, you are maintaining and owning the data of all of the personal stuff on your calendar. It is not owned by your work email address because you do not want to lose that. I was today in this season of life, I use a paper planner for my main command center. That's where I put all of my information. But in my last years in corporate, I was fully digital. And this is exactly how I handled it. I had to have my calendar for work available, but then I wanted my personal separate. And so I had a digital account for that. I would invite my work calendar to anything that was going on during work time. And then because my work hours were very set, right? Typical 9 to 5-ish kind of job, when I would sit down at my desk, everything I needed to know for that slot of time was right there on my work calendar. Now, depending upon the security system of where you work, sometimes they will open it up where you can, let's say use iCal or some kind of grouping calendaring tool where you can combine multiple email accounts onto one calendar. If you can do that, definitely do it. But you may work in an environment where that is locked down and you are not able to do that. And again, you can have the personal that then you're inviting that work email address to. Now, if you do not have a job where it gives you a corporate calendar that needs to be available, then you don't need to worry about this. You're just going to have your one command center, right? The ultimate goal is giving yourself one place to look, whether you're at work or whether you're juggling your personal life, that everything lives. So this is why I feel the ultimate solution if you want to be completely digital is that you have a calendaring tool that allows you to layer both work and personal information in there. Now, if you're doing it paper like I am, people always ask, well, Megan, doesn't that mean you're duplicating information, right? When I'm making my weekly plan, am I writing in my planner some stuff that's on my digital calendar? Yes, I am. But you know what? That takes maybe 30 seconds of my life. And the 30 seconds that I spend duplicating some pieces of information for the upcoming week saves me hours of decision fatigue, mental fatigue, the possibility of getting double booked, overbooked, etc. It is worth the hit for that, 30 seconds of doing duplication. So for those of you that live in an environment where you have to juggle a separate work calendar from personal, I'd love for you to share in the comments below. How are you doing this today, right? If you've streamlined something that's working really well, please, if you've got a creative solution, share it here because this is a question that comes up often and other people are always sharing what they're using out there as well. Have a fantastic rest of your day.